we've been looking at ways to solve exponential equations that have the same base. Let's take a look at a problem that's definitely a little more involved, a little more difficult than the previous problems we've taken a look at. First thing I'm noticing is that I've got an x squared in this problem. So this will involve something that's quadratic, meaning I'll probably need to factor or use the quadratic formula when I'm done. But before I get too far ahead of myself, remember our goal is to make sure that the bases are the same on either side. And for right now, we'll be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is, instead of thinking of 125, I want to think of that as 5 raised to some power. I want to make both bases of 5. And for now, I guarantee you there'll be a way to do this, so it may take some guessing and checking, or maybe you know it, but I guarantee you there'll be a way to write 125 as 5 to some power. And you can try it to guess and check, or if you know what it is, it's 5 to the third power. So 5 to the third power is the same thing as 125. So I'm going to write this problem as 5, and then to the x squared plus 8. Equal to 5 to the third. Well, what's also different about this, if you've watched our previous video, is that this also has its own exponent. So that 5 to the third, which is 125, is also still raised to the 2x power. And I'll have to combine those using some exponent rules. The rule for a power raised to a power is to multiply those exponents together. So this really becomes 5 to the 6x, since I multiply the 3 times 2x. So now finally, I have the same base on either side of the problem. So at this point, I'm okay to just ignore the base. They're already the same, so all I have to worry about is making my exponents the same. So this becomes x squared plus 8 has to be equal to 6x. Well, as we mentioned at the beginning, we now have something that's quadratic. So it's a bit more complicated to solve than just something that's linear, but it's nothing too bad. Whether I'm going to factor this or use quadratic formula, I'm going to need to get it equal to 0. So I'll subtract the 6x to make it equal to 0, and I'm going to try to factor it because factoring is usually pretty quick. I would need to find two numbers that multiply to 8, but add up to -6, and I can find that. If I couldn't, I could try quadratic formula, but this time it'll be easy enough to factor x minus 4 and x minus 2, which means I get two possible solutions for this problem. Either x would have to be 4 as one answer, or x would have to be 2 as another answer.